Hello, welcome. Today we're going to take a look at how to create our penny game in Autodesk Inventor and run the tool pass to cut on the CNC mill. Taking a look at our drawing, that's a set of 3 sheets. Taking a look at our drawing here, this first one has all the dimensions on it in order to create the drawing for this and to create the part. However, there's a lot of information, a lot of dimensions that are on here. To make things a little easier, I split this into 3 sheets. So here's the first sheet. The second sheet only has the information for the octagon to go on here and the outside part as well. We're going to start with this one since it's easier to look at. To begin, we're going to go up to the orange file in the top left hand corner of the screen, select New, Standard IPT, and click Create. We're going to start with our 2D sketch as always on our XY plane and click Front in our World View Cube. Starting with our rectangle, we can see on our sheet that this rectangle is 3.375 for the width and 3.375 for the height, and extruding back 1.5 inches. Okay, so let's start with that rectangle again. Starting at our origin, we're going to lock on, get our green dot, click, stretch out a rectangle, and this dimension is 3.375. Press the Tab key on the keyboard, and once again 3.375. Enter on the keyboard, and now let's green check mark Finish Sketch. Our part goes off our screen, so let's click Home by our World View Cube, bring that back on, and let's go up to Extrude. Taking a look at our drawing, you can see that our depth that we're going to extrude is 1.5 inches. So we're going to take and flip our direction and change our dimension to 1.5. And then click OK. Looking great so far. Next, let's take a look at that octagon. Let's take a 2D sketch, place it on our front view. Click Front in our World View Cube, and back to our drawing sheet. This octagon is 2.75, 2.75 of an inch. However, it runs around a center right here in the middle, and that center point is 1.6875. Okay, so we're going to place that center point first. Going up to our ribbon bar in the top in the Create section, we're going to select our Point tool and just drop it anywhere on our front view. Press the Escape key to let go of your point tool, and then press Dimension. We're going to click when we get the left-hand side of our part to turn red, and we're going to click when we get the point to turn red as well. Bring this dimension down, and this dimension is 1.6875. Make sure you're typing in right. There are a lot of different numbers in there. 1.6875, and then click green check mark or Enter on the keyboard. With the Dimension tool selected once again, we're going to click our bottom of our part when it turns red and click the point when it turns red. Bring this dimension out to the side. This dimension also is 1.6875. Okay, make sure you're typing in correctly. And then green check mark. Okay, now we're ready for that octagon. Our octagon is going to be drawn with the polygon tool, and it is a distance across the flats of the polygon 2.75. Back to our part. To find the polygon tool, we're going to go to the rectangle section, click down on the bottom button of the rectangle, and we're going to select polygon. We're going to change the default from 6, we're going to change that to 8 because we need an octagon. Coming to the middle of our screen, we're going to lock onto and select that point when we get a green dot. Click, stretch out your polygon. Click to place it. Next, press the Escape key on the keyboard. That drops the polygon tool, and we're going to go up to the top and select our Dimension tool. That dimension is across the flats. We can choose any pair of flats we want. I'm going to choose the flat on the left-hand side and the flat on the right-hand side. When they turn red, click. Place this dimension at the top and change the dimension to 2.75, 2.75 of an inch. Enter on the keyboard or a green check mark. Back to our drawing, if you take a look here, it has a note put on here that these two edges are parallel to one another. So the bottom of our polygon and the bottom of our part are parallel. That's going to need us to place a constraint on there. So we're going to press Escape to let go of our Dimension tool. And up next to the Dimension tool, there's a whole bunch of constraints that are up here. We want to find the one that looks like angled railroad tracks. When you hover over the top of it, it calls it Parallel Constraint. So we're going to click on that tool. we want to click the bottom of our polygon and the bottom of our part. When they turn red, click to select them. And that levels them up parallel to one another. Okay, that's looking great so far. Let's green check mark finish sketch, and let's extrude. We definitely want to extrude in a flip direction. Make sure that our cut is selected as well. And now for that distance, taking a look at our sheet, on our right side view you can see that our depth for that octagon getting cut out is 0.25. So back at our part, we're going to change that distance to 0.25 and then click OK. Excellent. Next, we're going to prepare for that hole, that rectangle for the dice to fit in for storage. We're going to get our 2D sketch, place that on our front view, get front selected in our world view cube, and then we're going to go change to our rectangle tool. Right now we're on polygon, but that's not a big deal. We can click on that bottom button, select rectangle 2-point, top one in the list, and we're going to click and make a rectangle on here. Before we do that, let's take a look at our part. I'm moving from sheet 2. Now I'm on sheet number 3. And on sheet number 3 is where we find the dimensions for our rectangles for the dice and the penny storage. The dice storage is 0.6875 height, and for the width, 0.6875 for the width. So it's a square. And it's located 1.344 in from the side and 0.375 down from the top. So back on our part, with our rectangle tool selected, we're going to click and stretch out a rectangle. My horizontal dimension is 0.6875. Make sure you're typing it in right. Press the tab key on the keyboard. And my height is 0.6875. Once again, make sure you're typing in correctly. Press enter on the keyboard. We have the dimension for that rectangle on here. Now we need to add dimensions for the location. Press the escape key on your keyboard to let go of the rectangle tool. And let's select our dimension tool. To dimension, we're going to dimension from the left-hand side of our part. When it turns red, click to select it. And the left-hand side of our rectangle we just created. When it turns red, click to select it. This dimension is 1.344. Green check mark or enter on the keyboard. And we need another dimension from the top of our part. When it turns red, click it. And the top of our rectangle. When it turns red, click to select it. We're going to bring this dimension out to the right. This dimension is 0.375, 3/8 of an inch. And green check mark or enter on your keyboard. That's looking good. Let's green check mark finish sketch. Let's prepare to extrude this. And you can see that it's coming out as default. We're going to flip that around. Make sure that our cut menu is selected here. And it has the default of the last one we used for 0.25. That was for the octagon. We need to go deeper than that. So let's take a look at our sheet number 3. And you can see here the depth for our dice rectangle is 0.4375. 0.4375. So back to our part. We're going to change that to 0.4375. And then click OK. So there's the rectangle for the dice to fit in. Now we need the rectangle for the penny. So let's get another 2D sketch, place it on that front view, way down in the bottom where the rectangle for the octagon is. And we're going to get our rectangle tool once again. Now taking a look at our sheet number 3, you can see that this rectangle that's in here is a width of 1.125 and a height of 1.5. And it only has one location dimension, 0.125 in from the left. And if you notice, that bottom part of the rectangle and the bottom part of the octagon are on top of one another. So when we create that, let's get our rectangle tool. Let's select the bottom of our octagon, not in the corner, no green dot, not in the middle, no green dot, just on that bottom edge of the octagon. Click, stretch out a rectangle. The horizontal dimension of that, once again, is 1.125. Press the tab key on the keyboard, and the vertical height is 1.5. Press enter on the keyboard. Now we need that extra dimension on there. So we're going to press escape to let go of the rectangle tool, and we're going to select our dimension tool. That other dimension that we need is 1.125 in from the left-hand side. So we're going to select our dimension tool, click the left-hand side of our part, the left-hand side of our rectangle, and bring this dimension down. This dimension once again is 1.125. And then green check mark or enter on the keyboard. Green check mark to finish sketch, have that all created, and now we're going to extrude once again. We know we have to flip that because we want it to be a pocket going in, so we're going to flip our direction, make sure cut is selected as well, and now we need to find out what this dimension for the depth is. Back on our sheet number 3, we can see that this pocket right here is for the pennies to go into, and if we follow that up, 0.75 is the depth that we're going to cut. Back to our part, we're going to change our depth to 0.75 and then click OK. Excellent. We have our part done. Let's go up to the top and save it as quick reference. We're going to go up to the top, orange file, go down to save. We're going to bring this into our H drive. So this pull down menu here, you're going to click, go all the way down to your H drive. I have that folder set up for the penny game base. I'm going to click to go in there, and I'm going to call this penny game base and then your last name, and click save. Excellent. Now that we have that saved, we're going to move on to the next video where we show you how to run the tool pass and cut it on the CNC mill. See you in the next video.